Hello and thanks for joining me on this video cast today that we have, and it is on the Prince of Discs. The Prince of Discs represents the airy part of Earth. Air and Earth are not really compatible and they weaken each other, so it's quite surprising that he is such a focused and energetic and one-pointed character. So we'll have to see the reasons why that is the way it is. And he's quite different from his counterpart in the suit of discs, which is the Knight of Discs, who represents the fiery part of Earth. Fire and Earth do actually get on. So the fact that he's quite ploddy, again, if we're just looking at elemental dignities, it obviously doesn't indicate the whole scenario for the particular card. With regards to the Prince of Discs, he rules 3 cards. He's essentially a third Aries and 2/3 Taurus. So the Aries card is represented by the 4 of Wands, and the 2/3 Taurus are represented by the 5 of Discs, which is worry, and also the 6 of Discs, which is the card we all want to have, which is success. I just read a little quote before we go on to the main section, and this is just from the book by Malo Duquette. If you've read or listened to my review of this book, it's not particularly complimentary, although it does have some very good parts. It's either very good or very bad, but he does include some anecdotes, some writings in between Lady Frida Harris, who did the artwork, and Crowley. This particular quote is undated, and it's from Frida Harris to Crowley, and she says, "The Prince of Discs is a devil. I've been a whole week on him, and he's engendering a nervous breakdown in me, coupled with starvation, as he gives me no time to eat." So she's obviously spent a long time on him. "He swells and swells, and I can't get him in the picture with all the farm produce and bulls you suggest." So obviously they've had to trim that card down to get all the detail that was necessary in the card, because there's some geometries in the orbs which we'll see in the next section, and it's there that we'll go next. Okay, we'll go on to the detailed symbology of the Prince of Discs. As you can see in the diagram, he's seen sitting in this black metal chariot. He's carrying a scepter bearing a cross on the end, and he's got this globe in his left hand, and the chariot's being pulled by this determined looking bull here. So that's a general overview of the Prince of Discs. And we look at his elemental makeup. So go to Princes there. He's the airy aspect of the suit, so he's the airy part of Earth, which I think I alluded to in the introduction. So, as I said, these sub-elements actually are supposed to weaken each other, and we'll take a look at how that might happen as we go through this discussion. Going on to the Tetragrammaton here, and he is in the Vav part of the Tetragrammaton, the 3rd aspect, and he's a product of the union of the Yod and the He Primal. So, being a union of the Knight and the Queen, he combines the qualities of both. He has the activity of the Knight, but he's not quite so active, and he has the stability of the Queen, but he's not quite as stable as the Queen. He's like a hybrid of the two. Okay, so we're going to the next section and just look at how the Prince relates to the Tree of Life. And as we said with the other princes, he sits here on the 6th Sephiroth, which is Tiphereth. So he's on this middle pillow. He's a reflection downwards from Keter, from Spirit, and similarly his reflection is cast onto Yesod here, the 9 Sephiroth, We'll be looking at the princesses next in Malkuth there in the next video cast, after we've done a summary of the princes. So this middle pillar is to do with harmony after you've had the polarity of the first Sephiroth here. You have the Hokmah, I was thinking of it there, Binar, Hesed and Gebarah. So you've got these opposites, and now you have some sort of resolution in Tifereth, and it's ruled by the sun. So princes do have some inherent stability and also some inherent connection to spirit, which is a source here. Now specifically with the Prince of Discs here with the Deccan wheel, he's labelled Pentacles here, but he is here and he is 1/3 Aries, 2/3 Taurus. So the 1/3 Aries, that decan is ruled by the 4 of Wands, and the 2 decans of Taurus are ruled by the 5 and 6 of Discs respectively. We'll move on to the symbology of this character now. So we have, if I bring it forward, we have the winged bull's head crest here. You've got the wings at the top and the bull there, and this is like a cherubic attribution of the card, and I'm going to talk briefly about the cherubic attributions in the summary video next on the princes. So Taurus is responsible for his material, down-to-earth side and his practical nature. The actual chariot that he's in is black, and that represents the really earth, Malkuth, that connection with the earth, if you like. So, a few other things to note. He's got a large orb in his left hand there. And again, we will zoom in to see this. So it consists of 3 circles there. Consists of a cross going up, down, across, and you've got the 3D cube in the middle. And Mr. Crowley basically says that this is related to his ability to plan and analyse and formulate ideas relating to agriculture, because presumably this represents the earth. The fact that the orb is downward and that he's got hold over it means that he has control over it, and this is his ability to form thoughts and plan and analyse situations. So more generally, it's his ability to go out into the world and make best use of lots of practical things, practical thinking, things that are going to produce material benefit and results. So he's not like the Prince of Swords, who is basically in his head. He's able to produce things out into the world. So we'll just zoom out a bit, and we've got this scepter with like a cross on the top, and this is supposed to be a symbol of the great work as defined by Crowley. The great work is really the ascent of the soul to God. It's also found in association with the High Priestess, and it's to do in this case with the fact that the connection here between food and diet are important to feed the body, and the body houses the soul, so all are connected. Because remember, the initial connection was to agriculture in the Book of Thoth. As we can see, he's got some sort of meditative pose there. His eyes are definitely closed. This is to do with his contemplation on bringing things forth. So he's very focused internally. And probably lastly, you've got this background tapestry here, where you've got supposedly fruits and flowers. These just basically indicate abundance, and representing the element of earth. Here you've got the Snuffin in his book to do with the Thoth symbology, says these are like nitrogen globules, and that's representing air. So the fact that it's the airy part of earth, that's a pictorial sort of symbolic representation of that. And you've got more tapestry in the foreground here. So when we looked at the deckhand wheel, we found that there were 3 cards that he rules. First is the 5 of discs here. The 5 of discs is the first deckhand of Taurus. It gives the Prince is actually a very efficient character, but he does have this element of worry, and it represents an overall anxiety about achieving his material ambitions and whether he can meet them, whether they're perceived or actual. He can carry this form of worry. It may represent the fact that he doesn't trust overall in the process of life, but he tries to control it quite a lot and analyse it, as we saw in that orb that he carried and the geometrical forms under his left arm. And it can also indicate anxiety about the home environment. So this sort of energy here, he might have to sort of work on calming down. The next card that he rules is the 6 of discs here, and this represents success. A great card to have. Again, with all the princes, you've got this positive and negative from the 5s and 6s of the minor arcana, and this describes the prince that is most productive. So here, this gives him his ability to use his energy resources to apply to practical things in the world and bring material reward for his efforts. So he's forged ahead like the bull to achieve his ambitions. So this allows him, much success in financial and material matters. The last of the minor arcana, he rules as the 4 of Wands, and this is the last decan of Aries, so he's moving out of this energy. Again, it represents completion of project or work situation, and it implies what happens as he carries his analysis and practical application to its natural end. In other words, he gets things done, he completes things, which is a very positive thing. He likes to finish things off and have them practically working. So this grounds his actions into a final result, as you have the completion of the circle there. But he's also got to guard against complacency and keep his focus on his goal for this to happen. Now, for each of the court cards, Mr. Crowley assigns a hexagram, and here we've got air over earth. Maybe I should just look at the trigram first. You got wind over mountain. So where he gets this connection, and these produce Chen. This means developing, and it's similar to another one that we had recently, and it's this process of developing is all about gradual movement towards a goal rather than doing anything revolutionary or radical. So it involves patience and persistence, which is characteristic of Taurus, really, which is a very patient and persistent and somewhat stubborn sign. So it does link in reasonably well with that. In love matters, it relates to refraining from rushing into things and leaning towards romance, rather than the very rushed sort of sexual introduction. Okay, moving on. General divinatory meanings of the I'm missing a slide, but I'll go back to that. General divinatory meanings. Some of the qualities that represent the prince are competent, hard-working, focused, materialistic, reliable, stubborn. He can lack emotional warmth. Can represent mastery of the body through sports and exercise. Someone that's interested in design and building things. And can also represent a time when we are taking more responsibility for our life and becoming more focused on things. So it's someone putting a lot of effort into practical things at this period of time. This person can also appear insensitive and dull. As I said, lacks emotional warmth. Also not in touch with his spiritual nature. Mr. Crowley does say that he doesn't really associate with spiritual people, too busy doing his material bit. So it's a time when you're fairly goal orientated and want to sort out the material side of your life, whether it be health or career, things that are tangible. And on now to my missing slide. Sorry about this, I always forget to put this slide in. We'll finish with the Celtic Cross, just applying this card to the Celtic Cross spread. So, if the Prince of Discs starts at the heart of the matter here, your very first card. In this reading for the querent, it's a situation involving sorting out their material and career goals and planning a route to achieve them. So practical the reading will centre around practical matters. If the Prince is the crossing card, it could be that practical situations are overwhelming or out of balance. No clear route ahead for them at the moment, and so that all of this is becoming quite an issue in their life rather than something that they're clearly working to and focused on. Subconscious elements, it could be that they're just not satisfied with their job, their material surroundings, what they've done creatively, because this is also a very creative character, and these things may need addressing, and it's something that's been nagging in their mind for a while, niggling in the background. Number 4 here, the recent past. The Prince of Discs could represent a period of hard work over time and completing goals. So in other words, someone has maybe gone to uni and done their course, or done a vocation, completed that. It's a period of focus and work on material aspects. Hopes and goals to become materially secure and satisfied in your work and environment. Short-term future. Plenty of work to focus on and sorting out material things. Our self-image, practical, good at achieving things but not in touch with our emotions or spiritual side. How are the seers? Or our environment. We could have a partner which is hard-working, goal-orientated, successful materially, but maybe they're lacking warmth and spirituality. Number 9, guidance and warning. I'd say they need to balance our outer success with being in touch with emotions and spiritual endeavours. Final outcome here. So a success in practical and material affairs through steady, persistent effort. But I would just say be careful to balance your worldly success with being in touch with yourself, intuitively, emotionally, spiritually, that sort of thing. But overall, a pretty good card to have. So anyway, I hope this helps. That finishes off the princes, apart from the summary video in which we look at their cherubic attributions in a little more detail, and then it's on to the princesses. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.